Okay, so I've got a lot of books here. So many, in fact, that I can't even hold them. I think we better get on with it. Hey, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be doing a book haul today. I've not done one of those before. I don't plan on doing them like every month or anything, but I got a lot of books over the course of July and August, so I thought, hey, let's make a video about it, because I got a lot of books, as you can see. I can't even hold them up. Ooh. As there's quite a lot, I'm not going to talk in depth about any particular one, just going to whiz through them, okay? So, what did we get? I got, and such a variety as well. They're not all the same type of thing, they're not all fiction, some are fiction, some are non-fiction, some are non-fiction presented. No, fiction presented as non-fiction, if that makes sense. Not sure it does, but never mind. Okay, let's start off with the Doctor Who stuff, because got a few Doctor Who things over the last month. For my birthday, I got 2 copies of this book. A Brief History of the Time Lords. This is a book that is the one I was referring to when I was saying it's fiction presented as non-fiction, because it's presented like a factual book, but it's written as if the Time Lords exist, if you see what I mean. So it's a factual textbooky type thing, with some brilliant artwork in, some lovely sketches of Time Lords and Gallifrey, but it's basically the obviously fictional history of the Time Lords. And I got 2 copies for my birthday. One from my sister, Holly, and one from some friends. So, as I've got 2 copies, I'm going to be giving 1 copy away. Look out for that in another video. It'll be coming in the next... It might already be up. I don't know if it is. I'll put a thing here. And you can win a copy from me, as long as you live in the UK, because I'm not doing international postage. I have no idea how much that would cost. It's not worth the risk. But if you live in the UK, you can win a copy of this. Check out that video. It's a lovely book. I'm looking forward to reading it. I've only sort of skimmed it so far since I got it in January. It's got some, like I said, some lovely artwork in there. I'm looking forward to finding out a bit more about the history of the Time Lords. Looks good. Also in the Doctor Who front, this was fortuitous. It literally arrived on my doorstep through the post about 15 minutes ago before I recorded this video. So this is only just getting included in this video. It's this. It's a past Doctor adventure from BBC Books. It is called The Face of the Enemy, and it's set in the sort of 3rd Doctor era, but it doesn't really feature the Doctor. It's mainly a story about UNIT, the paramilitary organisation that protects the world from aliens, and it runs concurrently with The Curse of Peladon. And the reason I got it is because it features the return of Ian and Barbara, who are the very first companions from Doctor Who, from the William Hartnell era. I'm currently re-watching, or watching for the first time in many cases, those stories, and recording some videos in a series called Doctor Who Rebrief. Next lot of those will be coming out soon, hopefully. And I was curious about what happened to Ian and Barbara after they left the Doctor. And this is one of those stories. From their perspective, this is after they left the first Doctor, but they return to the era of the 3rd Doctor. So I'm looking forward to reading that, finding out what happened to Ian and Barbara after their time with the Doctor. And the final Doctor Who type thing, again, arrived in the post today, and it's not really a book as such, it is an audio drama, but I'm including it anyway. From Big Finish, Solitaire. This is one with the 8th Doctor and Charlie, which is one of his audio companions. It's part of the Companion Chronicles series, which is where the focus is on the companion. The Doctor isn't really in this, and in fact, he's been turned into a ventriloquist dummy. Spoilers, sorry. I mean, the cover kind of gives it away anyway. So this is kind of a blend between a full cast audio drama and an audio book, because there's only 2 actors in it. India Fisher playing Charlie and David Bailey as the Celestial Toymaker. But it is mostly dialogue rather than narrative description. So even though there's only 2 people in it, it's a sort of confined story. But I've actually already listened to it, even though the packaging isn't unwrapped. Big Finish do this great thing. If you order from the Big Finish website, you can order the CD, but you also get available the download, MP3 download straight away. So even though this only arrived in the post today, I've already listened to it on the app. Okay, so that's the Doctor Who stuff out of the way. I've got some fantasy stuff next. Not all for me, but I wanted to include this next one anyway because it was such a bargain. I got this from my sister because I know she's a fan of this series, and I saw that all of the books were in one sort of package from the Book People, who are this organisation in the UK, this company in the UK that I think you can buy from their website, so they do have an online element, but they also sort of go around schools and go around workplaces that have large amounts of employees and set up for like a day in like the foyer of your work or something, and bring a selection of stuff. And there's usually some really good bargains with these, so if you ever see the Book People around, definitely check them out. They have some bargains, and they won't have stuff for long. They sort of the deals they get them in, they flog them off cheap, and then they're gone. So I got my sister this. It's the Mortal Instruments series, all 6 books. I believe she had some of them already, but I texted her and said, is this interesting to you? Because it's only £10 for 6 books. And she said yes, because the version she had didn't have very nice covers. These have these lovely drawings on the spines, which she liked. So I got those for her, which she's coming to visit this weekend, so I will pass those on to her. Also for my sister, we get a lot of books sent into work. I work in radio, and we get a lot of books sent by publishers in, hoping that we will obviously have them on as guests, the writers. I picked this one up because I thought my sister would quite like it as well. Came in. It's called No Dominion by Louise Welsh. I'll read the start of the blurb. It's 7 years since the Sweats wiped out most of the world's population, but for those who survived the outbreak, life has gone on. Steve Flint and Magnus McFall are now part of a small community on the Orkney Islands without mobile phones or TV, without antibiotics or fuel, who are trying to rebuild the rudiments of democratic civilization. That sounds like a book I would enjoy as well, but it's kind of sounds like a dystopian post-apocalyptic thing. I like that sort of stuff. So I'm going to see if my sister wants it. If she does, she can have it. If not, I'll probably read it it'll go on my shelf, and I might read it at some point. My other massive bargain of the month was the Age of 5 series by Trudy Canavan, which I picked up in a charity shop, all 3 books for 50p. Bargain. I've loved Trudy Canavan's Black Magician trilogy. That was a fantastic series. Definitely recommend checking that out. So interested to check out some more of her work and see if I like this series as well, The Age of 5. I don't know much about it. I just bought it based on the fact that it was written by that author, because I really enjoyed that last series of hers. Bit more science fiction now. Picked up this, Death's End, which I basically got because of the cover. I have no idea what it's about. It's really thick. I don't know if I'll get around to reading it anytime ever, but the cover looks amazing, and it's got this lovely texture on it that just feels so nice. A Hugo Award-winning author, sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, Cixin Liu. Half a century after the Doomsday Battle, the uneasy balance of the Dark Forest deterrence keeps the Trailosian invaders at bay. Sounds like hard sci-fi. But I was sticking on my shelf, and I hope maybe one day get around to watching it. Reading it. It's not a film. That's almost it for fiction. I did also pick up this in a charity shop for £1.25. It's called Radio Girls by Sarah Jane Stratford. And it's all about London in the 1920s and the fledgling British Broadcast Corporation and the women that worked there. So that's interesting to me because I work in radio, and finding out about the 1920s BBC sounds interesting, and a novel about women in radio at that time sounds like it could be an interesting read. Also picked up this play, Bodies. Again, it was one I managed to get for free, so I will pick up any play for free. If I see a play and it doesn't cost me anything, I will pick it up to add to my collection of plays on a shelf. It's always if you're involved in any amateur dramatics or anything like I am, I like doing a bit of directing as well as acting, so it's always good to keep up with what plays are out there that you might, you know, have a read and might give you ideas of what you want to perform or direct yourself. I haven't read this one yet. It's called Bodies by Vivian Franzmann. The sort of tagline of it: "We should have brought a gift. We brought a gift. It's called £22,000. That's a good hook. It's a good hook. Bodies explores the human cost of surrogacy and what we'll overlook to get what we want. Fairly recent play, new play actually. It premiered at the Royal Court Theatre in London in July 2017, last month. So it's a current play. Right, moving away from the fiction now. I've got a few non-fiction books as well. The first one of these I picked up, looked really interesting, came into work. I'm always looking for things to sort of expand my own understanding of other people or other groups, people that maybe I'm not a part of, communities that I'm not a part of, just because it'll help me understand them better. And this book came in and I thought it looked really interesting. It's called The Gender Games by Juno Dawson, who is a transgender woman, and she is writing about her experience in that, I believe. And by the looks of it, how the concept of gender generally is sort of screwing over everyone. So that sounds like an interesting book with an interesting perspective. Interestingly, the day after I picked it up, I noticed that the Banging Book Club were reviewing it, and I thought, maybe I'll try and read that before they release that podcast. I didn't. I think they've released it now, and I haven't even started the book. But once I have read it, I'll go back and listen to the Banging Book Club podcast and see what they thought about it. I think they actually had the author as well with them as they recorded that podcast in front of an audience, I think. So that'll be interesting. I got another Richard Dawkins book. If you don't know him, he's the biologist, the scientist, who is probably most famous for his book, The God Delusion. He has quite a lot of books on biology, evolution. I've got his autobiography as well, and I haven't read any of them. The only one of his books I've actually ended up reading is The God Delusion, which I read when I was at uni. But I picked up another one because it's always interesting. This is Science in the Soul. Kaleidoscope argument for the power and glory of science. And finally, another book that just seemed like it was... the title grabbed me, as did the cover. 10 Things Video Games Can Teach Us About Life, Philosophy and Everything. I wouldn't call myself a gamer because I haven't played a game properly other than Pokemon Go in... couple of years. I mean, I've got a PlayStation 3, I've got a Nintendo Wii, I haven't got any of the last generation of consoles. Maybe I'll pick up a Switch at some point, but I'm not an avid, I won't, game every day or even every week and even every year, apparently. But I do enjoy video games when I do actually get around to playing them when I find some time. So that could be interesting. Again, it's probably one of those books that's going to end up sitting on my shelf, not being read. But I picked it up anyway because it sounds interesting. Whew! That was a big haul. Yeah. If you've read any of these books, I'd love to know what you think. Let me know in the thingamajig below. I'm not going to be doing... This isn't going to be a regular thing necessarily, but I just happened to get a lot of books over the last month and a half, so I thought I would do a little video. Thanks for watching. I will see you again in my next video. Do keep an eye out for your chance to win this in a future video coming soon, and please do take part and like, subscribe and all that jazz. Thanks a lot. I will see you soon. Bye.